So I'm going to talk about the idea or the theory that there may be a force at play when people go missing in the woods. Whether that force be something supernatural or Bigfoot or the government. It's going to talk about different stuff to consider when thinking about the theory that there is something out there snatching people out of the woods. First thing I'm going to talk about is missing person cases. And if you type in online missing persons cases, you're going to get a big general area of just people who went missing, whether they've been abducted or ran away. You're going to get all that in a missing persons cases. And then you have missing 411 cases, which are a little bit different, and they have a specific set of. In order for a missing person to fall into a missing 411 case, specific things have to be at play. And what I mean by this is, according to historicmysteries.com, missing 411 cases are a colloquial classification of documents of missing people that fit a number of criteria. The disappearance usually occurs in a national park, rural area, or large reserve of public land, and exceptionally odd circumstances surround the disappearance. So, missing 411 cases have to deal with people who went missing in the woods. Something odd has happened, and it's hard to explain and make it a distinction of what actually happened. And a fact that to look at when looking at this subject is, according to LothianInvestigations.com, the federal government does not formally track the number of missing persons in national parks, but experts believe that 1,600 individuals mysteriously vanish each year while visiting parks throughout the United States. While many are reported missing and found, it is estimated hundreds remain missing. So you have, just in national parks alone, 1,600 people missing each year, and which seems like not a lot, but considering that 90,000 people are missing at any given time in the U.S., 1,600 people missing in national parks doesn't. But you got to think, national parks, 1,600 people missing in those, it's clustered. People are going missing in clusters around the U.S., and that's something to really look at when you're talking about this idea that there's some power or extra paranormal, whatever at play. But a good film to watch about this is a film by David Pilatus, which was an ex-police investigator. He used to be a police investigator, and he's been researching missing 411 cases for years now. He's got several books out, and he's did shows. But his newest film, The Missing 411: The Hunted, is about specifically missing 411 cases about hunters that went hunting in the woods and gone missing. And it's really cool to watch. He gets into detail with what criteria was at play and the different elements that were involved and how they are similar to other cases going on. And it's kind of swaying. The mood of the field kind of sways you towards the fact that there is something out there, but at the same time, he gives enough facts in the film to kind of let you make your own opinion on it. And he an example of one of the uh, cases in it was a case of a gentleman who was in his 30s, that had hunted this mountain range called the Crazies. It was called the Crazies. That was the name of the mountain range. And he had hunted this mountain range all of his life. And from what he gathered in the film. The gentleman, knew the area very well, had stashes hidden in the mountains, and went to retrieve it one day. Well, long story short, the man was miles and miles away from where he was supposed to. It would have been really hard to get lost where he was at, and there was like his shoes that went missing. He was um, he would have had to walk miles and miles in the snow to get to where they found his remains. And this was a guy that, like I said, seemed to know what he was doing. He wasn't just some dude that was in new territory that never hunted before. This was a guy that had spent a long time in the mountains. He knew how to survive if he needed to. So that's kind of the gist of what a missing 411 case would kind of be like. Some aren't that extreme, some are more extreme, but that's the general idea around it. And there's a lot of facts that go in with it too, like the fact that Alaska has the most missing people per capita, with 41.8 people missing per 100,000 people. Alaska also has Alaska is also covered by 48% of Alaska is covered with forest. So all of the dots start to connect, and you start to see that even though missing 411 cases are more rare, obviously, than normal cases, they all kind of have the same general gist around, you know, the same general rules apply to each one. And I think that it really is interesting when trying to decide if there is a force at play, or the idea that something's out there. And yep.